Hey guys, Moose here with another episode of No Man's Sky. I feel very stupid right now because I did the majority of an episode. Okay, we're getting attacked again. Let's get out of here. I recorded the majority of an episode and then noticed like halfway through, oh shit, I left my new mic muted. So, still getting used to this. Still getting used to the new microphone. Clearly got some issues with it. I'm gonna try and... The problem is when you do that, it's hard to backtrack, like go back and figure out what you said in that episode and didn't say in another one without, so you try and like cover what you talked about because maybe it was good, but then you also want to make sure that you're not retreading something you talked about in a previous episode, so I'll do my best to do that. Honestly, I'm a little bit scatterbrained as it is, so that might be rough, but I'll do what I can. Is that where we just were? I don't think so. Let's go check this out. So, we left our previous planet basically because it was sort of too threatening to be worth... I mean, there were too many sentinels and not enough resources to justify being there. So we left because, I mean, the short version, it wasn't profitable. This place may not be any better, and it's sure looking that way so far. But we'll do what we can. I think it's a little silly they don't aggro. But whatever, not my problem. You know, we'll pick up some more plutonium just because we've been using a fair bit for power, so let's just get some. Yeah, we came down here. It was just another neighboring planet. Pretty much the same deal. It looks like threatening drones, which is why I'm killing these instead of just leaving them alone. And ooh, Sentinel combat unit. Okay. Bring it. Y'all ain't shit. Let's get up here. You're too dumb to fly up. Okay. And you're just gonna fly right up to me and shoot. Okay. You're very bad AI. Anyway, so one of the things I talked about was we ran into a monolith where basically the Vy'keen were saying immortality is wrong, and as a result, sentinels are wrong. Come here, chump. But sentinels are wrong because they're there forever. They keep recreating themselves. They don't go away. They just stay. Oh, hello. This is a locked one anyway. We'll go ahead and... Thank you. We'll go ahead and break that. But I thought that was really interesting because we are kind of... This is personal opinion. It's more of a belief than anything else because I don't really have the scientific knowledge to back this up with any kind of reasonable evidence or anything, or even an understanding to say if this is the case or not. But I feel that, based on what little I understand, it should be completely reasonable for a human to become immortal. And when I say immortal, I mean just from an age perspective. Like, you would totally still get killed if someone shot you or whatever, etc., but I think aging shouldn't be an issue long-term if we actually wanted to solve that problem, which we may not do for a lot of reasons. Let's see what this is. Okay. Good, we apologized. Because we're buddies with them, they're like okay with it. Power gel. Okay. I mean, I don't really... That's kind of... Well, actually, that's not bad. You probably get more energy out of that, even though it's not that much. Kind of a more energy-efficient way to consume carbon for our stuff. But there are life forms that exist that are functionally immortal, that don't really age or die of old age. Okay, that's a flag. I thought there was a creature walking up to us. So why can't we figure out what causes humans to age and then deal with that in our own genetics or whatever it would be, whatever the solution would be? I don't think that's unreasonable. Whether or not it's a good idea is a whole different question, because then you get into issues with, okay, well, resource availability. If no one dies, we're gonna have some serious problems. You know, those are real issues. But I think if you put it within the context of maybe, ironically enough, a situation like No Man's Sky, where you can kind of just get a ship and go, and like you can have enough self-sustainability to harvest resources, power your ship, and just do what you need to do to survive. I think that'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind, honestly, it's a little bit of a fantasy of mine, but I would like to... I'm fine starting out with whatever. It's not really about what I start out with, but building up to a point where I would have like a giant mothership, and then like a drone, not army, but kind of like a drone workforce that would go down to a planet or an asteroid and say, okay, well, we need this mineral for this thing that we're trying to add onto our ship. So they go down and harvest it, and then they bring it back to the ship, and we build it up, and then we move on to the next planet, and then we just kind of explore. And I would really enjoy that, and that's kind of why I was excited for No Man's Sky. Obviously, some aspects of reality would be more boring than that, some aspects would be a lot more interesting, simply because, one, there's more variety because it's real life, but at the same time, it's also real life, so it'd be way more boring, because you'd never find this. This doesn't exist anywhere in the world, probably. Anywhere in the galaxy or universe or whatever you want to... You know what I mean, right? Like this, you're never going to find this many planets. Like in this game, everything has life, almost. I don't think I've ever found a completely barren planet. It's always got, not much, but it's always got something. Alright, this planet kind of sucks, let's bail. So, in reality, I think a lot of what you'd find would be completely barren. I think space is, you know, a really vast, empty expanse where kind of nothing happens. Or stuff happens, but on a very large, very galactic scale that you're just... It's not really about life, it's more about, you know, chemicals and minerals interacting with each other, different elements doing different things. That could be a star, that could be any kind of thing. Let's bail. I don't want to be here for that fight. Let's just get the hell out of here. We're almost to where we need to go, so this is fine. So, I feel like reality would be a lot more boring, but at the same time, I think that makes it more interesting. Because you'd have a much bigger sense of... It's not like, okay, well, the first planet you go to in No Man's Sky is like, okay, wow, that's really cool because, blah, I found this thing, and there's like a screaming dinosaur. Okay, great. But how much more special would that be if you were an immortal roaming the galaxy for decades and millennia, and you come across a life form that has an advanced culture, and you can study every aspect of this culture and kind of get to know them and interact with them and trade with them. I think that's way more interesting than anything this game could ever offer. And and obviously, I mean, that's kind of a no shit kind of opinion, but I'd really like to do that. I think it'd be really fun to have like a massive ship that I fly around the universe on and just kind of study reality. I think that'd be a great deal of fun. So again, I think that's kind of why that kind of feeling is not necessarily unique to me, and I think that's sort of why a game like this is very exciting for a lot of people, is because it's potential for something that... Yeah, there's potential for exploration to be better than it's ever been. Torrential rain, minimal sentinels, empty flora, empty fauna. Okay. So this is... See, but you have mushrooms, so that doesn't look empty to me. Mushrooms and flowers and all kind of... Okay, whatever. The game is dumb. That's fine. But yeah, I think a lot of people are excited for this, not because... Not looking at it as a game, but maybe because this is like a fantasy that, you know, we're probably never going to get to live out. And it's exciting to think, okay, well, I could actually do some of that here. That's really cool. I want to do that. I want to experience these things, because I'm never going to have that opportunity in real life. It's kind of understanding that, well, we haven't even gone back to the moon yet. And, you know, yeah, we sent rovers all kinds of places, and that's cool. But if you look at the overall climate of humanity on Earth, we kind of don't really care about exploration into space. We barely even only care about going into space, and that's just mostly, frankly, for military reasons. And that's really unfortunate. Some of it, like, you got SpaceX, but I have reasons to be kind of I don't know how great that's really going to be in the long term. It's just, you know, I wish we were more interested as a species in science and this kind of thing. Alright, we have another one of these. See, this terrifies me because it's like, this could be from my perspective, but I think this is from another traveler. So another traveler got infected and he just kind of spread this disease all over the place. What do you got? Something I already have. So I did notice that it'll tell you this is already known. If you already had a schematic for something, which is cool, but it's... I'd kind of prefer if it just didn't give it to me then. Or it was more... Because I normally click through those anyway, because they're such a pain in the ass. But, whatever, it's fine. Not a big deal either way. I also really don't like that they put things in here that can hurt you, but they don't let you take out your multi-tool. I think that's kind of bullshit. But I get they didn't want you to, like, mine NPCs, but this is a different kind of building. It's not a safe building, so I don't know. Nitpick, I suppose. It's not a big deal. Especially because your shield just comes back anyway, so who gives a shit. But yeah, I'd really... This is a fantasy that I've spent a great deal of time thinking about. I would love to explore the cosmos and kind of... Don't get me wrong, I'm stupid. I'm not nearly smart enough, you know, I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm not Bill Nye. I don't have the aptitude or knowledge to really do this currently. But given enough time, I'm sure I could learn about it a great deal. And honestly, you know, one of the things that I'd take with me, frankly, would just be like a massive library. And that's something like, if I get filthy rich, that's a major thing that I want to do. In my dream house, there's a huge, really, really nice, quiet library. Just with kind of nothing in particular, just sort of everything. Because books are... They're special. And the internet is the same in a lot of ways, but it's also not there yet because it hasn't been around long. Oh, it's just one of these. I don't care about this. Titanium oxide. Yeah, I mean, that might be good, but I kill enough sentinels, it's irrelevant. Nothing. Oh, suspension fluid, whatever. That's a shit pickup. Also a shit pickup. I might even just drop... Nah, not yet. I'll drop them if I need inventory. I have some... I don't know, I have like a vendetta against suspension fluid. I don't know why. Gek Charm is good. Gragar is good. I'll take it. But, with books, like, okay, so... My father's side of the family is Quebecois, right? So, they were in... I forget what the city was called, but it's like an asbestos mine, I think? It might be... Tetford? But it's sort of like near Montreal. That's the way I understand it, and it's... They were mining something that was pretty hazardous in that area, so... You know, there's some issues, obviously, that went along with that, but you get that a lot all over the place, so it's not like they're special or anything. But anyway, that's kind of where they were, so my family had been there for a very long time. They didn't really leave Quebec until my father's generation. He left when I think he was 6 or something, so I, of course, was born in California. So, how Canadian am I? I'm a Canadian citizen. Like, I don't know, like, where you draw the line on that. I consider myself, like, heritage-wise, I'm half Canadian, but I don't know to what extent you really count that. I have lived in Canada before, but, you know, anyway, point is, my family had been in Quebec for a very long time. My ancestors were up there, so some of them, for some reason, I don't know why this is, but it's very interesting and something that I really enjoy is writing really ran in that side of the family a great deal, and a little bit on the other side too, but much more in my dad's side. So there's memoirs that my, I think, great-grandmother had written back when they were in Quebec, and this is like before World War II. I can't recall the exact year. It might have been after World War I. I mean, they're in Canada, right? So World War I was probably relevant, but not like on their doorstep. So it might be somewhat analogous to how wars are for Americans these days, where you know, wars are happening and you definitely know people who are in them. Oh, okay, so you do get to expand. That's good. Definitely going to keep paying for those. But they're not like in your face. You're not being, it's not being shoved into your face to the same amount that it would be if you were in like France or Germany during World War I or II. That's a totally different experience, I feel. So I don't think there was anything really written in the memoirs about World War I or II. Doesn't necessarily mean no one fought in World War I, but I don't recall. I know family members fought in World War II, but anyway, the point is, it was around, you know, it was around that time. Early 1900s, I think. And it's really interesting to go back and, yeah, okay, it's a little bit more interesting because I'm actually, like, these are relatives, but even just if I'm not related to them, it's very interesting to go back and read about this, and that's kind of what I mean when I don't think the internet's quite there yet, is there's lots of stuff on the internet, but you're really not going to be able to go back more than like 10, 20 years, if that, for most stuff online. Yes, of course there's stuff that's older than that, books that have been put on the internet and things like that. That's not really what I mean. Most of those, ultimately, the original text is a book. So I kind of... Books are always going to be kind of older. They just are. That's the nature of it. And there's nothing... That doesn't mean the internet's worse or something, but... You know. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that. But because of that feeling I got when I was reading those memoirs, and I actually edited them for when my dad translated them into English, it's really deeply interesting because it's something I could never understand. Come on, I'm a almost 30-year-old living in California in 2016. I've got a cell phone that can go on the internet, play Hearthstone. I'm playing No Man's Sky right now on a computer. I'm recording with high-end equipment that's better than anything anyone had back then, if they had any microphones at all, really. You know, electricity maybe not even... I actually don't know how widespread electricity was back then. But the point is, like, they had nothing anywhere close to anything that I have. There's no way at all I could relate to these people directly. It's completely alien to me. So to be able to read, you know, what they wrote, what was important to them, it's really interesting. And again, I think not just because I'm related to them, but because it's so alien. It's so far removed, even though it's not even 100 years now. So completely far removed from any experience that I'm ever going to have in my life that... How could I even comprehend what they dealt with or what their life was like? Not even that it was necessarily more difficult, though I certainly think it was, but that's not really the point. It's just that it's completely and utterly different in every way that I can imagine. So, culturally, technologically, there's so many different things, it's hard to comprehend. And even me, I grew up kind of without the internet, sort of. Not totally, but a little bit. I can't even really put myself in the frame of mind of understanding what it's like not to be so damn connected and knowing what's going on. It's really difficult. So it's really interesting to go back and read a book about what things were like back then. And I highly recommend it if you never have. It's... I think to people these days, you don't really think about looking at the past like that. And I highly recommend doing it, because it gives you... It's very relaxing, because you're kind of doing it as a neutral observer. You don't have to really concern yourself with the difficulties of it, or why it was such a pain in the ass, or what's going to happen to these people, because they're all dead. I mean, it's fine. Like, it's not a stressful endeavor, but it teaches you a lot. And as a, like, doing it when I was... I feel like schools did a really bad job of showing me, like, hey, this is what life was like back then, and making it interesting. There was always the, alright, now we're gonna read Steinbeck. Great. Fucking hate Steinbeck. There's one of his books I loved, but the other ones I just fucking hated. I couldn't stand them. But, the books in school are just so impossibly hard to relate to. You can't... It's hard to read, and a lot of them are like professional authors, which, okay, that's fine, but you know, sometimes it's actually better to read something that's completely nonfiction, just someone's memoirs. I think that really can teach you a lot. So that, you know, that was my experience doing that, and I think it helped. I don't think it necessarily helped my life, but it was a relaxing experience that was very interesting, and I feel like it taught me a bit. Not necessarily anything that I can really apply to my life, but it gave me a little bit of a perspective. And maybe it kind of helps to calm you down a little, because it's like, okay, well, life is stressful now, things are terrifying, it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day shit of like, alright, well, I gotta go to work and my boss is on my ass, I gotta get this thing done and this other thing done. Sometimes it's relaxing to just kind of take yourself out of it, and it's, you know, as gamers, yeah, we do that all the time, but not like that. Not real world, not looking back to the past. It's always stuff like this where it's a completely kind of unbelievable future that's completely different in every way. It's hard to... Sometimes it doesn't take you out of it as much as it maybe used to, I guess. That's sort of how I feel. So anyway, that massive tangent, but I think that's something of value that a lot of people maybe don't do in their life. I think that people don't read enough, so... Anyway, personal opinion. Check it out. If you're interested, there's plenty of books out there. Just look for first, like, a non-fiction account of anything, like memoirs are really good. Let's see. It wants to... Oh, it injected me with shit. That's... What the hell is going on here? What do you want? Okay, yeah, you know, I don't know what the right answer was there, but that's correct, because fuck that guy. You don't just fucking come and stab me with a fucking syringe. That's unacceptable. That was a very interesting interaction that I did not expect in this game. I know it's, like, borderline meaningless, but that was still kind of interesting to experience. I want to, you know what, let's check this out real quick. Stupid thing is preventing me from playing the game, which is always shitty game design, but we'll wait before ending the video because we want to see what this does. Compare. Technically, it's mildly better. It doesn't have upgrades, or it doesn't have all the upgrades that I have, but I maybe don't care. Because it has an extra slot. No, I don't really know what I would do with another slot right now. So let's pass. We'll get one that's better by more next time we run into one probably. So I'll leave it alone. Just do some quick selling before we end the episode here. Sold emerald. I may not have meant to do that, but I did it. So tough. I do mean to sell the titanium. Suspension fluid, Gek Charm, Graga. And we're good. Okay. Money, money, money. What did we get up to? That really did almost nothing for us. I think we just caught up after getting the inventory upgrade here. So, thank you for watching. Sorry if that was loud right there, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you join me for the next one. Take care.